So, as we're continuing on how to make your jelly roll whatevers, still we're at a point where you're going to do this for anything you make. Because you actually have to end up making your ropes first. So I have actually, I don't know if you can see this down here. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer without making you sick. So I have completed my first section of rope, and I keep it wound up on this under my bench so I can get to it real easy, my desk, my table, whatever. And then I have my strips in order, how I'm going to do my rug. So the next one that I'm going to work on is this fabric right here. So let's see. I'm gonna show you how to put, excuse me, you'll need this. I'm gonna need, I know you don't want to see the back of my head, but I'm so sorry about that. Okay, move all this stuff out of the way. All right, so I have my jelly roll strips and I have sewn them together. You sew them at a 45-degree angle. Some people don't. Some people just sew them, straight like this. I like the 45 because it leaves less bulk. And then I don't sew them down because the the batting actually will hold it. And it's just one less one less step. Okay. So, oh, I learned the hard way. I can't do that. All right. So, if you can see this, this is the way I start. Well, I've got my batting and my material up under my table. And I start by turning the very first one and dropping it. Ooh, the first one I end up turning down and sewing across because I just would rather it not slip out. Plus it makes it straighter. Okay, so I'm just gonna sew a straight seam across. You can go faster than that. Okay. And then I love my little automatic cutter because it's spiffy. And I trim off my extra seams like so. So it looks like this. Now, you're gonna fold to put it in your tube maker. You're gonna fold it to where your batting meets in the center. Now, most of the time, quite honestly, your fabric will not meet. Okay, hands. Your fabric likely won't meet, but as long as your batting meets, your tubes will be 5/8 inches, which is how I figure everything. Now for the clover, you fold it like this. It's in half, but it's actually really in thirds. And you just, large opening toward you, you just push it right through. You might need to use a little, boy, I am a klutz today. Most days actually. Okay, so you put it in there and you just push it through like so. And when you pull it out, you see it's flat. So you take the larger and you just snap it in. Okay, now you have this part that has come out, and it's, when you fold it over, that's actually how the tube will look. So again, with the larger portion towards you, you're just going to push it through kind of open it up right there, the fabric, and just push it in, and it snaps into place. So now we will start sewing. A lot of people choose to do a straight stitch. And when I do a straight stitch, I do mine along the edge. Some people like to do it in the middle. It's totally your preference. No judgment here. I just do it like I like it or as my customer will request. This one, I started doing the serpentine and I'm going to continue to do that. So that is number 9. I wrote it down. Somewhere. Okay, so on zigzags, I use a 6 width with a 1.8 length. My serpentines, I really like them at 6 width and a 2 length because it just makes them a little more swirly, I guess you'd say, a little bit more swirly. So you're going to center your fabric. You're going to center your fabric to where your needle is right in the middle of your fabric and put the hammer down and I'm going to go ahead and drop my needle. And then I'm going to take these little guys, this little magnetic guy, and I'm going to put it as close as I can to the right side. And then I'm going to take this one, and when they meet up, that's exactly 5/8. So that's pretty wonderful. Now, I like, when I'm pulling, I like to kind of cup it so my fabric will stay, because sometimes if you don't, this fabric back here will turn over. So I pull that one, and then I pull this one, and then I fold it over. I prefer to take my awl and run it down the middle. And what that does is it actually makes sure that your batting is meeting exactly in the middle. So then when you start sewing, that's the trickiest part, to be honest with you, because you got to get your machine going. But if you notice, number 1, always make sure your needle is down, and number 2, it keeps this at 5/8 inch. So I'm going to pull it down, give myself a little bit more room. I'm going to run my awl down there to make sure that it's completely in the middle. And I'm doing this a little slower for you guys. And I'm actually going to slow my machine down a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of put a little pressure down on my material, but I'm letting my machine do all the work. If you notice, my husband put a hole, you don't see it. My husband put a hole right here in my table. And so I put the fabric down there and it drops. I'm trying to move it slowly. And if you see right here, my fabric will all drop into that little bucket and stay nice and neat. So let's sew just a little bit further. And this is honestly your first step, and everybody got to do it. So it's a little tedious. It takes a little time. But other thing you need to watch for when you're doing your seams, when you're making these strips, rolls, rope, is make sure that this right here, this edge, both of these edges are exactly lined up, because sometimes they will slip and they'll end up like that. And then it's just not a pretty look when you get to your finished piece. So just keep your eye on that and just Just keep on sewing. And I will sew this entire color together and end it before I go to the next color. And when I get all of my colors put into ropes, then I will come back and I will show you how to start your rug and maybe even how to determine whether or not, or what length you should start with. So we just are going to keep on sewing until we're done, and we'll be back